Welcome to the October edition of Raw News, which is a live monthly interactive broadcast presented for you by Rights at Work. And as usual, our guest today is the ACTU President, Jed Carney. Jed, welcome again.
Hello.
Today we've got a pretty full program as always. We're going to talk about the recent Secure Jobs campaign launched by the ACTU and the union movement. We'll have a chat about the Stand Up for Super campaign, which has just got underway, the continuing situation in Fiji, which is very disturbing, and of course the recent passage of the climate change carbon price legislation. So Jed, without further ado, we might get straight into it. And just last week you were in Sydney and you launched a national campaign, which is a pretty exciting development for the ACTU and unions, called Secure Jobs, Better Future. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Sure. You're right. We did launch Secure Jobs for a Better Future last week, and this is a really important campaign for us because right now in Australia about 4 million people are employed in jobs where they are casual jobs, labour hire jobs, short-term contract jobs, jobs that basically give people no security about their hours, no security about their weekly income. They don't know how much they're going to earn from week to week. They don't get sick leave. They don't get their workers' compensation paid appropriately. They don't have access to training, such as occupational health and safety training. I mean, it really is creating a house of cards, I think, for Australia and for Australian workers. And this is something that is a growing trend in Australia. Nearly 40% of the workforce now is in this form of work. And if we don't do something about this now, it will become the normal way that people are employed, and we will give away all those really hard things that we've fought for as unionists and as workers in this country. And it's something we're really worried about. So we want everybody to get on board with the campaign and go to the website, which is securejobs.org.au, and register their support for the campaign and learn a little bit more about it.
Okay. What are some of the impacts that insecure work has, not only in the workplace but on families and communities? Oh,
they are so huge. I mean, really, to start with, it makes budgeting almost impossible. If you don't have a regular income, you just simply don't know if you can meet your rent or your mortgage payments from month to month or week to week. You don't know if you're likely to be sacked at any minute. We heard from a lot of workers at our launch. For example, we had a number of workers there telling us what it was like. And we had a teacher, for example, who couldn't get a permanent job. She was employed on rolling, she was casual. And so she couldn't get a loan to get a car. Because she didn't have a car, she couldn't take all the shifts that were offered her as a casual teacher because she couldn't get to faraway places in time. She couldn't afford to live away from home and has had to move back home as a result. She can't plan for a future or a career. And that's incredible impact. We heard from people in labour hire firms who are too frightened to take time off if they're sick. I mean, our recent survey, Mark, showed that about 73% of people in these jobs go to work sick because they can't afford to take time off. I mean, that's just astounding, let alone if your kids are sick or you've got an elderly parent. It just creates so much insecurity, and it's really worrying.
And it's not just restricted to retail and hospitality.
Oh, no. This is the thing. And, the employers always say, the first thing they say is, well, people like this type of work because it gives them flexibility. But we know that that's not the case. There's no flexibility with this because people have to take work when it comes because they're worried there won't be any work there next week. It's rubbish to say it's about flexibility. Look, I'm not saying there's no place for this type of work. Absolutely there is, and for a number of people it does suit them and it's what they want, but we don't have to give up our rights in the name of flexibility.
Okay, so this campaign is just starting off.
Yep.
This is not just a short-term thing. This is going to be a long and big campaign by the union movement?
Oh, look, I reckon this is going to be really big. This is something we can't fix overnight, and there's not a lot of political will to fix it. The employers are pushing back big time against this. They really, it's their agenda, really, because it's cheaper for them to have this type of labour. So, we're going to have to put a big effort in. It's a long-term campaign. We're going to need lots of support from community partners. Already social partners have come out to support us. We had ACOS and St Vincent de Paul at the launch telling us, for example, can you believe this, that an increase in people asking for charity and charitable supports is about 50% in the last year. I mean, that's amazing, and a lot of those people are employed.
Right.
We're here for the long term. We're going to put in the long haul for this, and we're going to do everything we can to change the situation.
Okay. And just related to that, actually, you were in Canberra last week for the Jobs Forum in Canberra, which was hosted by the Prime Minister. And did you get a chance to raise some of these issues at that Jobs Forum?
I certainly did. I was able to address the forum, and I said if we are talking about the future of work, if we're talking about raising productivity in this country, then we have to talk about the quality of work, decent work, and remember that it's people's lives that we're talking about when we're talking about jobs, not just widgets.
Okay, so that website again is securejobs.org.au, and we've even got a cheesy prop to show people, which is our campaign logo. And on that website you can find out heaps of information about the level of insecure work in Australia. You can read some stories, quite sad stories from people who are trapped in this form of work, and then there's the ability to take action and join the campaign as a supporter. So securejobs.org.au, and there's going to be a lot more news coming up about this campaign in the next couple of weeks, so stay tuned.
And people can tell us their story, can't they?
That's right. We want people.
Tell us your story. Yep.
That's right. That's one of the big campaigns that the ACT has launched, but another one is Stand Up for Super, which is a campaign around the proposed increase in the superannuation guarantee from 9% to 12%. And what's the background to this, Jet?
Well, it's really thanks to Australian unions that we have our wonderful superannuation system in Australia, and ever since it was introduced in 1992, the union movement has always said that we need at least 15% super to have a comfortable retirement. Well, we will continue to fight for that goal, but in the meantime, the government has announced that it would like to introduce the superannuation guarantee to 12% of your income, and that this would give you a comfortable retirement income. And we're supporting that. Because we think that that's really important. It'll be particularly important for women who have big gaps in their employment and their contributions to super, who are under superannuated, and it's just a really important issue, I think.
Okay, so it really would make a difference to people. I've read some statistics, like a 25-year-old could have an extra almost $150,000 in a superannuation account if it went from 9 to 12%.
Yeah, people don't often think about their super, particularly if you're 25 years old, because retirement seems so far away. But when you think about it in those terms, that if we increased a 25-year-old super to 12%, they have an extra nearly $150,000 when they retire. I mean, that really makes you stop and think, hey, this is an important campaign. Yeah. We are a lucky country in Australia, and we want people to have, good retirements, and saving while you're working is one way of doing that.
Okay. So what is the position at the moment with this legislation or proposed legislation?
Well, the government is proposing this legislation, but in its usual fashion, the opposition is opposing it. I don't see any good reason at all why anyone would oppose such a wonderful initiative, but they're being naysayers and saying they won't support this. So we need to really get out there and show that this is incredibly important, support the campaign, put a lot of pressure on the opposition, on the independents, and show the government that there's a lot of support out there for this. Okay,
so there's been a website established in support of this campaign, which is standupforsuper.com.au, and on that website there's a number of things there, but including one of them is a calculator where you can actually put in details about your income and your age, and it can calculate for you how much more you could have in your savings at retirement age if we went to 12% super. And there's also an online petition there to Parliament saying that you support the increase from 9 to 12%. And if you want to find out more about the campaign, go to the website, contact the ACTU, and there's a lot of information we can also give you to take out to your workplaces and talk to your workmates about it. So standupforsuper.com.au. It was a big achievement this week for the government, historic achievement, and something which we all probably should be proud of, was the passage of the first part of the, we call it the price on pollution legislation. What does this mean for Australian workers?
This is really an important piece of legislation, one of the most important ones we have seen passed in our Parliament for a long, long time. This will be a big change to our economy for sure, but really it is Australia doing its bit for global warming, which is incredibly important. And from the minute this discussion started happening all those months ago, the trade union movement supporting action on global warming, on climate change, said that we needed to make sure that jobs would be protected and that there would be lots of investment in new industries and cleaner technology so that new jobs would be created. And the package has absolutely delivered on that. And we're really excited now. Now it's got through the House of Reps. It has to go through the Senate yet, but we're fairly certain that will happen. It means really that there's certainty now, that everybody knows what the parameters are. They know what's going to happen. So companies will feel certain to invest. We will see a great deal of investment in clean energy technologies. Once that investment comes, we'll see lots of new jobs, lots of new industries. It will go a long way to helping our manufacturing industry, which is really struggling at the moment. So I think we'll see thousands of new jobs, maybe hundreds of thousands of new jobs created, and really a great deal of certainty for Australia.
Okay. And one industry which has been talked about a lot has been the steel industry, and I understand there was part of the package was a separate bill to provide some extra funding to the steel industry. But even though this was a separate thing in the package, it was still opposed by the opposition.
It beggars belief that the opposition would oppose something that is designed to help the steel industry and to help save jobs and to help save a really important part of our manufacturing industry. The package meant that, actually the package was about a lot of things. It wasn't just about the carbon price. It was to help the steel industry cope with the high Australian dollar, with cheap imports that are coming in, making it difficult to compete. So it was a really good all-round package. And, even Bob Katter supported the steel package. Everybody supported it, except for Tony Abbott, who put himself out in the limb and made himself look like, just a naysayer who just cannot say anything positive about anything, not even Australian jobs.
Yeah. So it got through, fortunately.
Oh, it got through with a great deal of support from everybody except the opposition.
Okay. So what's still to come? There's another separate part of the climate change legislation which deals with household compensation. And we expect to see that, I think, probably sometime this year.
Yep, the compensation is a really important part of this, because even though this is not a tax on you and me, it's just a tax on 500 of the biggest companies who are polluting, to encourage them to reduce their pollution so they don't even have to pay anything if they're smart. We know that they will pass on costs to consumers. So the household compensation package is to compensate for any costs that are passed on to you or to us as consumers, and it's a very generous household package. There's also some fantastic initiatives in there, like raising the tax-free threshold, which will mean that people on very low incomes won't have to pay tax. And this is fabulous, particularly for women who work part-time or for mums out there in the workforce. This is going to be fantastic, and there's a lot of good things in that package, and we really hope that it gets through easily. Okay.
Well, that's a significant achievement for the government, and something that unions will be continuing to monitor and campaign around in months to come. We've only got a couple of minutes left, but we just wanted to update you also on the situation in Fiji, which continues to concern us.
The situation in Fiji is very worrying. It's very volatile. It's changing all the time, and unfortunately for the worse, Mark. The military regime in Fiji introduced a series of decrees which put really dreadful and draconian restrictions on workers and their right to organise and their right to be part of the union. They can't hold meetings. They've actually made null and void all their enterprise bargain agreements, and they've been arresting union officials of late, and most recently was a pilot has been arrested because of his activities with the union. We're very worried about this. We're asking everybody to find out more about it. We've had 7,000 emails being sent to the military regime in Fiji protesting, and we'd like you to go to our Your Rights at Work website, and if you can, send off an email from that website to show that this is unacceptable, and that trade unionists around the world are actually rallying to support workers in Fiji.
Okay, so that's rightsatwork.com.au, and like all of the things we've we've been talking about today, that you just go to that website and you'll get plenty of information about all these campaigns and all these things that Union Movement's doing, and that we want people to take part in. So we're about to wrap up here. We'll be back again next month, November the 11th at 3 p.m. with another edition of Raw News Live. But until then, thanks for watching, and thanks a lot again to Jed Carney for appearing.
No worries. Thanks, Mark. Thank you.